The big heat's here. Hope you're planning on finding something cool here if you can today. Hi, I'm Matt Noyes, 1 Degree Outside Weather Network, 1degreeoutside.com. Here's a rundown on the heat and what you can expect. It's going to be with us really for the next few days through Thursday. The big heat does begin today. Is it dangerous? You hear about it everywhere. Dangerous heat, right? Look, it can be, but a lot of that largely depends on us. And I'm going to touch on that here and give you a little bit of tips here in 1 second. Thunderstorms develop today in spots. There's not going to be a lot of them. They're going to be isolated. But we saw in upstate New York yesterday that feeding off this amount of heat and humidity, they can become severe pretty quickly. So we're going to touch on that too in this forecast. The heat does start breaking down on Friday and then continues to break down a bit as we head to the weekend. So more on kind of the decisions that we make and how that plays into how dangerous the heat is, right? The biggest thing right off the bat, staying hydrated. Hydration goes a long way in terms of controlling body temperature. Water is the best thing for that. Sunscreen helps out a lot. Believe it or not, sunburns can lead to dehydration. And we're at the strongest sun angle of the year. Thursday's the summer solstice, longest day, strongest sun. So it's really important this week above all. Avoiding overexertion. Of course, if you work outside, you have to be really careful with this, right? Making sure you've got some breaks in there, both to stay hydrated and to cool down. Cooling the body. Now, this goes really on a more of a societal level than individual too, because we know that there's not equal access to cooling, right? So for folks who don't have access to cooling, getting the splash pads open, the cooling centers open, checking on those perhaps who have trouble regulating temperature. Usually with age, you have trouble regulating temperature. So checking on the elderly, making sure, is your air conditioning working? Everything going well over there, right? Finding some shade. If you're going to be outside, that's important too. And checking your tire pressure. This is one that you don't always think about. You know how you always see folks broken down on the side of the road with a flat tire in hot weather? That's because if your tires are underinflated, not enough air in them, then you run into trouble. So this is your quick look at the heat. If you're looking for the 24-hour forecast you're watching on social media, click the link. Otherwise, we'll dive in right now. And here's what's going on for us here across the area today. You might have noticed our maps are a little bit different from what you've seen over the past few weeks from us. It's actually not a bad thing. Danielle and I are actually really getting a nice upgrade in our mapping system. So this is a bit of a transition phase for us. But nonetheless, you can notice the temperatures today up into the 90s across the board for just about everybody except maybe the mountains of Maine. In terms of the heat index, what it feels like for us today feels like 101 degrees at Amherst, 96 in Boston, 95 at Providence. You're up there at about 95 to 100 on the feels like forecast. Remember, that's a combination of heat with humidity. We'll get a blog post on that later on in the day about exactly what heat index is. In terms of predicted rainfall, in this regard, storms today, you look and say, that doesn't look bad. We have a little dot here, a little dot there. Yeah, just keep in mind as you look at northern Maine, as you look at some of the mountains, what I was talking about. Yesterday, we saw this in upstate New York. All these storms, and there weren't a lot of them, but every one that developed was fueled by a tremendous amount of heat and humidity and became severe with damaging wind and some hail. That is a possibility for us in New England today. The most likely areas, you can see the forecast radar at 3 p.m., would be in northern and western portions of New England and then into eastern New York State. Again, best thing you can do, keep our app handy for that. Here's the details in terms of the app. You can get it both at the App Store for Apple or on Google Play. But on Google Play, it's hard to search. Just go to our webpage, and in the banner at the top, you can click the link there to get it. Overnight tonight, whatever does develop for showers and storms die down. Again, there won't be a lot of them. It's a mild and muggy night with temperatures generally hovering in the 60s. It may be closer to 70 in some of our urban centers in the overnight. Let's look at the next 24 hours. We'll cover the next few days coming up in 1 Degree Outside Insight.